All right. Good morning. This is Bernard Nomberg with another episode of NOMBERG LAW Live. We come to you every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central. And I've got my buddy OJ Fleming up in Mid-State Tennessee with me today. Good morning, OJ. How you doing, my friend?
Good morning, sir. I'm well, and yourself?
Good. It's good to see you. Good to be with you. And I like that sweatshirt.
Yes, I appreciate it. I had to wear it. I knew we were going to be on this, so I figured I would wear bandy,
That's
some bandy gear.
that's right. We're going to anchor down. And if you don't like Vanderbilt or anchoring down, this may not be the
Hey,
conversation for you to tune into
that's okay.
today. That's right. That's right. Well, guys, as we try to every Tuesday, as you guys know, I've been doing this for a little over 2 years, and I try to find not just lawyers talking about legal issues, but I try to find people in the community, new friends and old friends. And OJ, I count as one of my new friends, and we've got some commonalities that has brought us together. Mainly, we both played for Vanderbilt.
Yes.
We're both getting older. We're reminiscing about the good old days, but OJ's got some a story to tell us his story, and I think it's important, and that's why I wanted to bring OJ on to educate us, to inform us what's going on with him, and I think that we'll spend us about 20, 30 minutes here, OJ, and just talk a little bit. So please, let's start with you just giving us a little bit of your background, your childhood, and all that good stuff.
Okay, well, actually, I'll start in 1989. That was probably the year that I made, or my family and I made one of the best decisions, which was to attend Battleground Academy. I was an eighth grader going in. I stayed there. I graduated in 1994. During my time there, probably my freshman year, I knew I wanted to be a math teacher. So I was fortunate enough for Jerry DiNardo and Vanderbilt University to offer me a football scholarship to play in the SEC, which happens to be the best football conference in the nation. Got to say that. So I went there and had some good times, and of course had some bad times. But probably one of the best years was in 1997. In 1997 is the year that I met my future wife, who happened to be a team manager for the team. And we met, we dated, we fell in love, and of course, we ended up getting married a couple of years out of college. And we now have three kids, three beautiful kids. Caleb, who is graduated from VGA this past year, is now going to attend Vanderbilt University. And he's
Excellent.
going to follow, apparently, he wants to be like his dad and become an educator. And then we have Beth, who's going to be a junior at BGA, and Nate, who's in sixth grade at BGA. And they're all just thriving. And then after I graduated from Vanderbilt in 1999, my first job out of college was a pizza delivery guy. And lo and behold, BGA and Chip Parks decided to rescue me from that job and decided to take a chance on me and offer me a position as a teacher, a math teacher at the school. And of course, that's what I've always wanted to do, so I knew it was the right thing. And I went back and became a teacher, and I loved it. And I was fairly decent at the position. And then, let's see, probably 2002, not probably, it was 2002 was my diagnosis and what began my journey with MS. And for me and my family, and it's been a roller coaster of a ride, but we're just getting through it, and I'll continue to smile as we do, and hey, take the good with the bad. So that's where we are right now.
Well, Jay, thank you for sharing that, and the entire story is what I want to talk about. Going
Yes,
to
sir.
Battleground, coming to Vanderbilt, and I'm not going to call you a mathlete, but you were a superstar in in the courtroom. Listen to me, in the classroom as well as on the football
Well,
field.
they tend to think that I was a fairly decent student in the classroom. I was probably a AB student, probably as my guidance counselor would say, I did not always apply myself in the classroom. I wish I had, but maybe I didn't. But yeah, I was pretty good at in the classroom. Probably my favorite, not my favorite subject, of course, was math, and I had a math teacher, Larry McElroy, had him all 4 years in high school. He was the reason I fell in love with math. And I said, you know what? I want to be like this guy. And I decided, I told him one day in class, I said, I'm going to come back and take your job. Well, by the time I got back to where I was going to be teaching at BGA, he had moved into the position of a principal. And I said, I do not want that position at all.
Talk to me, OJ. Being smart in math, being able to apply those math skills everyday life. Let's take it from there to on the gridiron. I knew you to playing tight end. You probably played other positions at different times. Were you able to use any of those math skills, transfer them to your football field, your abilities, whatever?
I never really thought about it that way. Probably the best thing I would say is I had to constantly work hard at the math in order to be good at it. And that's how it transferred onto the field. In order to be good at what I was going to do, in my position, I was a safety in high school and a wide receiver. I was all of 180 pounds soaking wet. And by the time that I moved into college and they said, we want you, or they recruited me as a receiver, but they wanted me to play a different position. And of course, under DiNardo, I was going to be a receiver, but the second year we had a coaching change and they had a different position, H-back. In order to be an H-back, I had to put on a little bit more weight. And over the years, I kept putting on weight. By the time I graduated from Vanderbilt, I was all of 265 pounds. So here I went from 180 pounds to 265 pounds. Now, it was some good weight, and of course, there was some bad weight.
I bet. Well, I know that when the going from high school as good of a program and competitive league as Battleground was, and then going into the best football conference in the country.
Yes.
And I'm restating that because my buddy Mitch in California, who's a USC guy, is watching us right now. So I want to make sure we re-emphasize that the SEC is the toughest conference. But for a guy,
you won't find a better one.
That's right.
I mean, to go through that, to go in, week out, and you got to play what are going to be extremely competitive teams, and you're going to get beat up to make it to the final game of the season or the year on a national level. That is fairly impressive, and I think that's what the SEC embodies, and I think that's what it gets you ready for.
OJ, after you graduated and were up to 260 or whatever you were at your top weight, how long did it take you to drop that weight after your athletic days were concluded?
Actually, probably the one thing that happened when I graduated at 265 pounds and I became a football coach, I was still eating as a football player, but I was not training as a football player. So the heaviest I got up to 300 pounds.
Wow.
And it took me probably a couple of years to get down from 300 pounds back down to about 245 pounds. Right now, I'm at a 260 is where I'm at. And that is due to the fact that I cannot be as active as I need to be or as I want to.
Well, let's talk about 2002. And before we get into that, I want to welcome those who are watching. We've got several folks from different parts of the country. Actually, OJ, my quarterback coach from high school is joining us from the Panama City area. Coach Andrews, good morning, and good to see you're with us. And I've got my buddy Mitch out in California. I've got my friend Stephen in Atlanta. Got my dad in Gulf Shores, mom here in town. We got several folks. And if y'all have questions or comments for OJ or me about what we're talking about, please just dump them into the comment section. We'll make sure that he gets them. But OJ, let's go to 2002. 2002, you received a diagnosis, and I want you to just tell us about those first days and how you dealt with that.
Well, in 2002, my doctor, I won't name at the time, but we went through our chest. In fact, the way that I ended up getting diagnosed or discovering that I had MS is I'm sitting in my math classroom going through some math problems, and I noticed that I was seeing double. I was able to see what was in front of me and what was to the right of me. And I thought it was a pretty neat trick. I asked my students to look at my eyes, and my eyes they were not tracking together at the time. And I'm just thinking, hey, it's a nice, sideshow trick, circus trick. And I went and saw my human resource person, Glenda Marshall, who said, OJ, you probably need to go in and see your ophthalmologist. So I go in and see an ophthalmologist, and they put me in the eye machine, and of course, I come out of that thing, and I'm having 20/15 vision. And I finally said to them, look, it's not my vision that is the issue. I said, take this machine off of me and look at my eyes. And then they started to look at my eyes, and they were like, oh, I think you need to see my neurologist. Me, at the time, I had no idea what a neurologist was. For me, I just knew it was someone who was dealing with the brain. And I was thinking, you know what? They want me to see it. Basically, I equated it to a psychiatrist. I was like, okay, now they're telling me I'm crazy. I came in to get my eyes checked, and you're telling me I'm crazy. And then from there, I went and saw the neurologist, and the neurologist decided to run some tests on me. He said, hey, yes. He took the spinal tap, he took some MRIs, and he says, there's no doubt you have MS. You probably had it for a while. So I'm thinking, are you telling me I've had this while I was playing football in college? And he goes, yes. There's no doubt in my opinion, you've had this that long, and you've somehow been able to get through it, manage yourself. I said, that's great. So once I got the diagnosis, I'm sitting there with my wife, Ellen, and we have just we're our first child. We're getting ready to have our second child. And for me, it was a moment of, ooh, I need to deny this, because if I can deny it, then it's not real, and I can deal with it a lot better. My wife was, on the other hand, she was having a breakdown, and she was not ready to move on because she knew what was coming along with this diagnosis. It was me not being able to function properly or as well as I had been. And I said, that's fine. But I just said, you know what, I'm going to deal with this, and it's going to be whatever this MS thing is, and I'm going to soldier through just like I've done everything else. I'm going to have this positive attitude and just deny. Well, at about 2012 is when I started to notice more and more of the symptoms. They were the visible symptoms of, okay, now I have fatigue. Now I have, I'm losing strength in my right side of my body. I'm losing some of my mobility. I cannot run as well as I used to. So you cannot deny those things. But for me, it was the two phases. It was the denial phase, and then it was the acceptance phase, which is where I am now. And I would tell people, if you can move into the acceptance phase earlier, the better you're going to be, because you'll start to be more aggressive with your MS or with your treatment. For me, the doctor, when he first told me, he said these things. He said, OJ, I just want you to understand, you're young, which most people don't get diagnosed with MS at a young age. And then he said, OJ, you're also a male. And most males do not get diagnosed at a young age. And then he said, OJ, and I don't know if you know this, he's trying to be funny. He says, but you're African American. And if you're African American, you typically do not get diagnosed with MS at this stage of life. He says, so basically you have 3 strikes against you. And MS tends to be hyper aggressive for my population, being the African American male. I said, that's fine. I'll deal with it.
OJ, I thank you for sharing your story so far with us. Most people have heard of the term MS.
Yes.
Multiple sclerosis, but they don't know what it is. They don't know what the condition is. If you could share with us your understanding.
The MS is basically a autoimmune disease that basically your immune system is attacking your own body, your brain cells. It's basically attacking the myelin around your cells and eating away at those cells. So basically, your nerve signals do not connect with one another. The best way I can describe it is most people have an iPhone charger or something along those lines. And if your iPhone charger, the end of the wires begin to get frayed, the signals do not work as well, and your phone does not charge as well. Basically, that's how MS works for me.
And it's been 17 going on 18 years since you were diagnosed. And so you were in your early 20s? How old were you?
I was 26 when I was diagnosed.
Mid 20s, okay.
Yeah.
But you continued to work. I know that you worked at BGA up until what year? Till recently, wasn't it?
This 2019 was my final year. I finally went into our head of school, and I said, well, I love BGA. I love the students here, and because I love it so much, I need to walk away because I'm not able to do what I need to do for these students. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to me. And he tried desperately to convince me that maybe we can make some adjustments to keep me on board. And I said, well, we've been making adjustments for some time now. I mean, I've gone from having a walker at school to having a mobility scooter at school. And that's how I got around campus, was on my mobility scooter in the final year. And finally, I just said, you know what? It's time to step away. It's 2019. Let's step away. Let's start trying to take some time to take care of yourself. Maybe you could start getting some physical therapy and stuff of those things, or of that nature.
Talk to us, OJ, about what's a typical day for you now?
For me, typically, right now it's a lot of lounging around, not watching TV, watching or playing puzzles, trying to keep the brain active as much as possible, because that's one of the good things you can do. I cannot get outside and play around with my youngest child like I did with my older two, which is one of the things I missed out on. I mean, I was not able to teach him how to ride a bike, swim, all those good things that my other two got from me.
Talk to me a little bit about Nate. Is he following in Dad's footsteps? Is he your athlete?
Actually, all three are athletes. Caleb had a passion for baseball. He's a pretty good baseball player. He did not get the scholarship, the offer that he needed to play at the next level, so he decided to focus on his academics. He received an academic scholarship to Vanderbilt, so that's what he's going to focus on.
Awesome.
Beth she's passionate about softball. She's fairly good at basketball. She's involved in soccer right now. Nate is probably the one that's going to be the football player. He is a good football player. He plays D-line. He wants to be a linebacker, but right now he still has that baby fat. But he's growing. He's probably 5'3" right now, and he's 11.
Awesome. We need to get Coach Mason out there this fall on an off weekend and check him out.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah. OJ, I want to welcome somebody who I think you may know works at the Vanderbilt Sports Department, Andrew Marinus.
Yes.
Andrew, thank you for tuning in. And Andrew was a guest of mine a few months back, and good fella.
In fact, I had Andrew come and speak at BGA probably a couple of years ago. Actually, it was about a year ago. He spent about a half a day with us.
Excellent. Well, I
Speaking
really
about his book, Strong Inside.
Perry Wallace's story is so fantastic.
Yes.
What a man. But Andrew, I always enjoy what he puts out, and I know he's got a new book coming out about the 36 Olympics, the Nazi games.
Yeah, I'm going to check that one.
let's pivot for just a minute, and I want you to take a second for those people. You've educated us a little bit about what the condition is and what it does to the body. If you've got somebody who is newly diagnosed and is still in that overwhelmed denial phase,
Right.
what are some tidbits, some things that you would offer to a newly diagnosed person that may help them along the way on their journey?
I would say educate yourself, learn as much as you can about the disease, and get really active. Start exercising more than you might be doing right now. Strengthen your body because your body is going to start to fail at some point. So the stronger you can get it right now, while you still can, the better you're going to be off in the long run.
Wise words, wise words. OJ, let's talk now a little bit about, do you still follow sports? Do you follow any of the Vanderbilt programs or football in general?
I follow a little bit of the Vanderbilt program right now. Like I know right now we have 3 stars. We have Pickney, we have Lipscomb, and we have Vaughn. And we're going to have to rely heavily on those 3 guys. The good thing is they can attack the three different levels of the field. What we've got to establish is we've got to find a quarterback. And, of course, Coach Mason has got to we've got to see if our defense is going to be able to hold up. That's the one thing that I've noticed with Vanderbilt over the years is either we're good on defense and not so good on offense, or we're good on offense and not so good on defense. We have not been good at both at the same time, and that's where we need to get.
Well, the month of September is going to be surely a test. You've seen that schedule, yes, like we all have, and there may not be a tougher schedule in the country the first month of the year.
I can't find one. I cannot find one.
Well, guys, I'm talking with O.J. Fleming from Mid-State Tennessee, a fellow Vanderbilt Commodore. We're talking about all kind of subjects, and most notably, O.J. is sharing his story with us about being diagnosed with MS 17 years ago and how he's dealing with it. And OJ, I would say this to you privately, I'd say it to you publicly. Your attitude, your approach to life is an inspiration regardless of your diagnosis.
I do appreciate that.
I'm proud to call you friend, and I'm glad you're educating us a little bit this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Certainly. And we're getting close. We're getting close. We got a couple more minutes here. And if you guys have any comments or questions for OJ or me about anything we're chatting about, please throw them in the comment section. We'll make sure we get them addressed.
Yeah, OJ, the one thing that since I've decided to retire, the people are constantly asking me, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? And people have different suggestions. They're like, OJ, you need to write a book. OJ, you need to do this. And I'm going, you know what? Writing a book takes a lot. But if I were to write a book, it would simply be titled, so I've learned to be left-handed, or something along the lines of smile. Because as long as you're smiling, as long as you can have that positive attitude, you're going to be okay. But the minute you start to give into, oh man, I need to feel sorry for myself, things are not going to go so well. So don't feel sorry for you.
Couldn't have said it any better right there, my friend. Thank you for your time today, OJ. I really do appreciate it. I hope to get up to Nashville this fall and either let's go out to break some bread or let's go catch us part of a game or do something this fall together.
Sounds good.
Spend some time with you.
Sounds good.
Guys, as always, we try to bring you interesting people with interesting things to say, and OJ certainly fits the bill right here today. I'm privileged to call him my friend and spend some time with him and sharing his story with us. As we do every Tuesday, we try to come to you at 10 o'clock Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, NOMBERG Law Live. OJ, any final things you want to share?
The last thing I would want to share is I've been so lucky to be surrounded by good people, but the most important person in my life has to be my wife. She has done so much. She's given up. She's sacrificed so much just to take care of this guy that the love that I have for that woman, the love that she obviously has for me is beyond comparable. So the final thing I would say to someone is make sure you're surrounded by good folks.
Beautiful sentiment for both of y'all. Maybe we should have had her on with you as well. Maybe next time.
I thought about it. I thought
Hey,
about it.
OJ, thank you, my friend. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You guys be well. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.